today we shall be reading Not Crazy to Me, Slasher's Ex-Nurse Listener up in here. So we are technically and currently in chapter 13, but I'm going to go back a chapter for, as you guys know, to recap it around here. So I don't want to spoil too much because this is going to spoil a certain something or someone. Basically, we're in a dream, and we, I don't even want to, like, this is like spoiling. I think that ain't. So we were like in the boiler room, okay, in the boiler room. And as we continue on with this dream, we slowly it starts changing up into more realistic and nightmarish type of stuff. And at the same time, it feels hot, steamy, and just super uncomfortable. Everything kind of melting, burns, and everything. And then we start having flashbacks and started like, it's also kind of like mixing into like not really stuff that happened, and then in this dream or nightmare state type of thing. And we finally, at the end, were able to escape. Because, for some way, somehow, I don't know how the hell we escaped, but we escaped. Because we somehow escaped from this dream. I hope y'all getting the hints, but anyway. And they're like, I'll see you later, Ryan. So I didn't want to go too much into detail about this because this was like a lot of details. I'm not even gonna lie to you. It was a little bit hard to read. I'm not even gonna lie to you. And it was like one of those things where it would spoil like literally everything. So I just kind of cut it short a little. But, I mean, if you want to, like, specifics and, like, me reading this whole chapter, you gotta go back a video of this series. So, yeah, anyways. Hello, everybody. So, there will be a lot of warnings coming up because this is just... there's, like, a lot of warnings that are going to be given. So, first things first, there will be a lot of mentions, or details, I should say, of murdering. A lot of murdering... violence and just straight up blood everywhere. That's gonna be all one more. That's all just a tiny little one part of this warning. Second, there will be mentions of nightmarish, like, think of it as like getting an injury from a nightmare and you're just like, what the fuck, what happened? How did I get that type of warning? I don't know how to make it short. Third one, there will be mentions of kind of like mental health to me depleting, kind of just trauma going all around. There will definitely be some trauma points going on in this certain video. Definitely, there will be a lot. 5, there will be mention of a child's death. And this is not involved with the like actual fan fiction we're reading. This involves like another story that we're reading because it's Christmas. But you'll understand whenever you get there. I will put a link to the story in the description below, and if I don't put it, probably because I wasn't able to get it. So I'll just put the authors, and you might be able to find it. I wish you luck, though. But most likely the link will be down there, promise. Anyways, if I have any more warnings to give you guys, and I don't remember at the top of my head, they will be displayed right now on the screen. So I would really appreciate if you guys just read through those real fast. And yeah, if you guys are not comfortable with listening, reading about it, any of that, I would really suggest you guys not to watch this video at all. It gets kind of really sad, and kind of at the same time doesn't. Like at the end, and the Christmas story gets sad, but particularly in this one, it kind of does get sad, but not as sad. Okay. So yeah, you guys have been warned. We are officially in chapter 13, solitary confinement. You startle upwards, almost tumbling right out of your bed. Your breathing comes in quick, short gasps, but at least this time you know you're really awake. You pull up the side of the blue hospital clothing you've been given and see blood seeping through the bandages plastered to your slash wound. How is it bleeding there? Did you bump into it while during your wake up? Or maybe you were shifting around while you slept? No, you know why it's bleeding. You also know where you got the wound in the first place. You're sure of it. The dream was sentient, real, a curse or an illness hanging over you, threatening your mental and physical well-being. It had morphed your fears into a frightening mirror of reality. On your bedside table, there is a large medical patch, meant to be changed with one currently soaked in blood. With a hiss, you peel the current bandage off, grimacing down at the wound on your side. It didn't look like any of the stitches had snapped. The blood flow is already slowing, but you dab at the red liquid with the bloodied bandage to soak up as much as possible before replacing it. At last, the clean bandage is pressed to your side and you let out a sigh of relief. Stretching your stiff neck, you climb carefully to your feet and hobble over to your cell phone. A quick check of time shows you that it's a little past midnight. You'd slept through an entire day's worth of duties. Jesus. You hadn't spoken to Mikael or Jason, and you wanted to see Danny in solitary just so you could see his eyes. Calm and stable like they usually were. You need to make sure that they don't hold the evil that his eyes held in your dream. The hallways are dark, deserted, and for a moment you half expected to see Cole swing around the corner. Time to pay your debt. The phantom voice drifts through the halls. Nothing more than a figment of your imagination. You shiver nonetheless. He's dead, Wyan. Your door clicks shut behind you, keys in your grasp, and you set off, silent as the wind, down the darkened hallways. As you pass Danny's cell, you see the door shut tight, yellow "Do not cross" tape plastered over top. You tear your gaze away and hurry your walking. Every cell has its light out, but the residents don't seem to be asleep. Psst! A sharp voice hisses and you stop dead in your tracks, spinning rapidly and wincing in pain at the strain on your side, towards the voice. Wyan, are you alright? What are you doing up? It's Norman, his fearful expression like that of a ghoul in the window to his cell. You glance down the hallway towards Mikael and Jason, and then approach Norman's door. You wear a sad smile, but don't really mind. I've definitely been better. Your voice feels like it's too loud, but if you speak any quieter, Norman wouldn't be able to hear you. Is Danny in... You can't bring yourself to finish, but you don't need to. Solitary? Yes, he is. Norman finishes for you with a frown. Please, don't stay up too late. You need to rest. You see the deep care in his eyes and the absence of nervousness in his last few words. You sigh and nod your head to him. I won't. Thank you, Norman. Sorry if I woke you. You didn't. It's all right. Good night, Wyan. Norman smiles at you one last time and then disappears into his cell. Good night, Norman. You doubt he heard you, but you spoke anyway. Anyways, and then turn back towards the hallways leading to the heavy-duty cells. You keep your footsteps light, looking at each cell window as you pass them. Even Hannibal's big glass cell is dark, and you see the silhouette of his form asleep in his bed. At least, you think he's asleep. But he doesn't strike you as a heavy sleeper. You can feel his eyes in your back as you pass by. You want to stop and speak with him, but he says nothing, so neither do you. Continuing on with your mission, before you even get to their cells, Mikael is at his window. The permanent leer of his white latex mask made even spookier by the excruciating darkness. You wave at him, a small smile on your face as you approach his window. Hey, big guy. You greet quietly, stopping in front of his door. He tilts his masked face, his gaze boring into yours with a strong intensity. For a moment, the two of you simply stand there, staring, enjoying the silence and the safety and the trust. He had saved you from the imaginable, and in all of this chaos, he was so familiar. So comforting. Ironic, really. You found solace in the company of a killer. One of the sweetest, most caring killers you'd ever known. I'm sorry if I woke you. I couldn't sleep. I just had to come talk to you. You break gazes now, staring down at your hands. You see them turn dark in the low light. Only for a split second. Blood-stained, like in your dream. You shake your head. I had a bad dream while I was out. The words slip out, and you find Mikao silently asking you to elaborate. You don't want to. Did you hear what happened? The change of topic is immediately refreshing, and though you can tell Mikao is curious, he doesn't press. Instead, he shakes his head. Danny, he killed a bunch of people. He snapped because you guys were being punished for saving me. Now your hand reaches up to your face where he hit you. You don't feel the needles of pain like you had then, but you notice a dull, almost unnoticeable ache deep within. A tension seems to form around you like a storm cloud, and you trace it back towards its source. Mikao caught onto your gesture and pieced together that he hit you. He was fuming. It's okay, Mikao. He didn't mean to. I'm sure of it. You smile, a genuine smile, and take a step closer to the window. I know I've already said thank you, but I want to say it again. You saved me. Both you and Jason did. I'll never be able to repay you. You place a hand on the glass without thinking. His hand shifts and presses against the image of yours. His hand is huge, a giant when placed in comparison to the one belonging to you. And in that moment, you've never felt safer. This asylum, these people, they may be killers. They may have hurt people, but they wouldn't hurt you. You aren't sure what makes you different, but they won't. You know it. You jump, pulling your hand away as 3 sharp taps sound from the glass behind you. You turn, seeing Jason, and your smile widens. They were both awake. Perfect! You hurry to meet Jason, who holds up an okay sign with his hand, then points to you. You nod your head. Yes, I'm okay. Better now that I'm getting to speak to you guys. Jason's eyes behind his mask flickered to your right, down the hallway in the direction of Danny's cell. You know he's silently asking what happened. Danny went crazy. He killed a few guards, angry that you and Mike were being punished for saving me. You explain again to Jason now, and his eyes are immediately flooded with guilt. His eyes flicker up and down your form. Another silent question. Did he hurt you? You go to say no, but Mikao taps on the glass before you can. You turn to face him, and he nods, confirming Jason's suspicions. Now, the Crystal Lake Killer has anger and disappointment in his eye. He presses the nose of his mask against the glass, his eyes big and apologetic. Sorry for making this happen. His eyes say, This isn't your fault, Jason. I'm not angry at Danny, and I'm sure as hell not angry at you. Your words are completely sincere, and Jason knows it, closing his eyes and heaving out a sigh as he nods with acceptance. It was good to talk to you guys again. Your lingering smile softens, and you glance between Mika and Jason for a moment before continuing. I'm going to speak with Danny real quick. Try to sleep, you guys, okay? Your words are met with an obedient nod from Jason and a reluctant but compliant nod from Mikael. Good. I'll see you guys in the morning. With one last look at both boys, you sigh, turning and heading away towards the solitary cells in the far corner of the building. You'd hardly been on this side of the asylum. It had always given you the creeps. The lights didn't shine as bright. The staff hardly traveled here. It had a certain chill to it that made your skin crawl. But you would have to face that for Danny. You had to speak to him. You hug yourself tightly, walking a little quicker and a little less quietly to get to your destination as fast as possible. You can see the end of the hallway now through the darkness, the cells being just to the right. You slow your approach as the doors come into view. Danny? You ask, a hiss. You don't care if he's asleep. You have to talk to him. Danny? You repeat again, louder this time. Shuffling is heard through the first door, and you hurry to open the sliding metal rectangular that reveals a small strip of the inside. The moment you do, Danny's on the other side. You can only see his eyes, eyelids half shut from sluggishness, and bags under his puffy eyes. It had been clear that he had been crying. His eyes are a familiar yellow like autumn leaves in golden sun rays. They don't hold an ounce of the crippling insanity they had held before. They don't hold an ounce of demented evil you had seen in them. You close your eyes, swallowing the lump in your throat. Hey, You say simply. A lame answer, but it's all you can muster right now. Hey. In one word, his voice seemed to crack 1,000 times. He sounds drained, exhausted, 100% spent, and both emotionally and physically. For a long moment, all there is silence. Your shifting gaze, his guilty one, and the tension so thick you could carve it with a knife like roast beef at a Christmas dinner. I'm so sorry, he whispers, and you hardly hear it, leaning in a little closer. His eyes are glossing over again as more tears threaten to spill. He swallows hard. I'm so sorry, honey. He trails off and shakes his head, wiping at his eyes with the back of his hand. Now your eyes are threatening to leak as well. With a deep, shuddery breath, you find your voice. You hit me, you know. The words are not accusatory, not hostile. They're calm and flat, and, in a sense, apologetic. Danny lets out a sad, teary chuckle and sniffles. Yeah, I did, didn't I? He has to look away, taking a few steps back. He faces away from you, letting his face drop into his hands as he momentarily paces back and forth. I won't sit here and swallow in my guilt. I can tell you don't want an apology. No, I don't. I already forgive you, Danny. I understand. Danny nods his head and turns back to you. You get a greater glimpse of the state he's in. The majority of his face is pale. His nose and his cheeks are deep red. Tears had marked their path down his face, and the bags underneath his eyes are a prominent purple. His hair is a mess, and a few dark bruises litter his arms, resulting from his fighting and his struggles. I was bleeding, not from you. For some odd reason, you feel like you can tell this all to Danny. Mikhail and Jason, Brahms too. You trust enough. But you don't want them to react poorly. Danny, well, he's already gotten all of his anger out today. His eyes flood with concern, and he's back at the window. What? Who hurt you? He asks, tilting his head. You shrug, shaking your head and clicking your tongue. I'm not sure. They look like claw marks, something like that. Danny's brow furrows, and he seems to stare right through you. What's up? You ask, and his vision's clear, his mind returning. Oh, he mumbles, nothing. I'm just exhausted. He yawns, jaws parting wide, and he rubs out his eyes. Haven't been able to sleep. This place isn't exactly comfortable. He steps back, and you press your eyes to the open slate, examining the room. He's right. It isn't comfortable. The floors and the walls are padded, white, like in your dream. There are no bed, no desk, nothing, just white padding. I'm so sorry, Danny. This is horrible. He returns to the window and shrugs. No one should have to deal with this. I think I deserve it. I crossed a line. I killed people for Christ's sake. I haven't killed in months. His eyes shifted down to his hands, and he lets out another sad chuckle, darker this time. It felt good. Not good, but good. Freeing. For a moment, I was convinced I wasn't in this damn asylum anymore. I miss freedom. He looks back up to you, a sadness in his eyes that blooms pity in your chest. I miss burgers, good food, the sneaking, my home, the forest, all of it. He shakes his head, eyes fluttering shut momentarily, and then opening again. It's okay, though. Danny's voice is brighter now, happy, almost. Almost. Do you know why? As a matter of fact, you don't know why. Why? You speak in such a gentle tone, afraid to break the aura the two of you had created. I wouldn't have met you if I hadn't been brought here. Your heart warms and you smile. It seems like fate, almost. Dashing killer gets caught, only to meet the greatest girl in the world. It's like a headline. Now he's smiling too. I guess it is fate, huh? My headline would be, unemployed hooligan scores the best job in the world with the best people. You reach a hand up to the slate, your fingers tracing Danny's face. You look exhausted. You state and pull your hand away. Try to sleep, okay, for me? You add the last sentence when he goes to object. Now, instead, he sighs and nods his head. Okay, you sleep too. With one last silent glance, you reach up to close the rectangular gap in the door. Good night, sweetheart. Good night, Danny. Oh, that is so cute. And excuse me, I got willfully interrupted, but that the first chapter we've ever read in this fanfic that is actually like decently like not so long. Like one chapter would probably like make me like in this story usually is like 30 minutes or more because how long they have written this. Guaranteed if they actually like if it was like more of an even amount, because I'm telling you they probably wrote like more than 2,000 or more words in like just one chapter or more, probably like 300,000. I don't know, but it was a lot of words to read, but I read them, period. Anyways, we is now in chapter 14, Freddy Cougar. You stood there for a moment, a small smile on your face, one hand resting on the cool metal of the door. A deep sense of relief washed over you, until you remembered that you would soon have to go back to sleep. Unless you stayed up the next 7 to 8 hours and struggled through the day, exhausted. That didn't seem like the worst thing, actually, with lockdown and all. You were sure you could do it if you really tried. You sigh and step away from the door, turning and heading back towards the direction of your room. The solitary cells fade away behind you, the darkness, pressing around you and sending a shiver down your spine. You wrap your arms around yourself, picking up the pace while still keeping your footstep as quiet as possible. You pass Mikhail's and Jason's cells, both men nowhere to be seen through the thick windows, and slow to a halt in front of the glass wall of Hannibal's cell. Almost immediately, his form rises from its place on his bed, the dim, lasting light from the LEDs overhead casting just enough illumination to see the outline of his features. He shifts his blanket aside neatly, rising completely to his feet and taking calculated, confident steps towards the glass. "Miss Hélène," he says in a flat, greeting tone, "it is a surprise to see you out of bed so soon." His head tilts, and he blinks slowly. What happens in these nightmares you speak of?" You stare for a moment, momentarily forgetting that Hannibal hears next to everything. "It is all right if you are unwilling to speak with me about them. Nightmares can be a personal thing, especially with everything that you have experienced recently." He swallows and blinks slowly once more. "However, I must say that I am a trained psychiatrist, and I would be more than honored to help someone as wonderful as yourself. The last thing I want is for you to lose sleep." You swallow thickly, wriggling your hands and opening your mouth to speak. You know you can trust him, despite what's been said about him, about being manipulative and dangerous. Like most of the others, it seems Hannibal had taken a liking to you. You begin biting your lip. It's stupid. It sounds fake. Impossible. Your words are an attempted excuse, trying to get Hannibal to dismiss the subject. He doesn't, of course. He simply watches you, silently coaxing you to continue. You sigh and close your eyes, finding it easier to relay the information that way, like a movie playing in your subconsciousness. It seemed real, and I know everyone says that, but I know this was real. I got hurt in the dream, and it actually transferred into the real world. Your fingertips ghost a patch on your side and you grimace. It sounds so stupid. I don't remember how I originally got the injury, but I remember it being reopened by... You couldn't finish your sentence, but Hannibal, ever intuitive, could finish for you. "Mr. Johnson?" That is completely natural. You have just seen him commit a multi-homicide right before your eyes. He says in his even, smooth voice, and you nod your head. "And how did he reopen this wound of yours?" "Yes, but Brahms, too, both of them, all at once. He pinned me up against the wall." You say slowly, forcing out each word. You can't bring yourself to open your eyes. "I guess the movement was too harsh, too sudden. It hurt. And then when I pushed him off, it hurt even more. Injuries being transferred from a dreamlike state to the real world." Hannibal said thoughtfully. "Could it be similar to stigmata?" He asked, and you furrow your brows, finally letting your eyes flutter open. Hannibal senses your confusion and explains. Stigmata is a slow appearance of wounds similar to that of a crucifixion. It has never been confirmed as legitimate, but There have been more than one occurrence of wounds in the hand and feet appearing an account of thinking them into existence. Spontaneous stigmata, you confirm? And shake your head. This was all so confusing. Well, dear, Hannibal continues, whatever may be the cause, I do recommend that you attempt to sleep once more. If you have any of these nightmares, remember that you are in control of your dream. It is happening in your subconsciousness, and I'm sure if you realize that, then you will be able to control it, manipulate it. You suck in a breath, letting it out as you nod your head. Okay, thank you, Hannibal. He smiles now, one of the few times he breaks his emotionalist facade, and it's a nice sight to see. Of course. Sleep well, Miss Ellen. I look forward to speaking with you about this again if we are given the chance. You smile back at him, and as he turns to head back to his bed, you head off to yours. You hold your head a little higher now, having spoken with Mikael, Jason, Danny, and Hannibal, and open the door to your room with a lingering smile on your face. You'll be okay. You shut the door again. Flicking on the light in your room and wincing at the sudden brightness. You cross towards your desk, pulling back the chair and taking a seat. You grab your diary and flip it open, picking up the pencil as well. And then you turn to the first empty page and get to writing another diary entry. Dear diary, so much has happened. I can't believe I am now writing them down. Cole, the one I didn't trust, wasn't a good person. He tried to do such horrible things. I know now that I should always listen to my gut feelings, the red flags. I made a mistake in trusting him, and I don't plan on doing it ever again. It was stupid, very stupid. If it weren't for Mikael and Jason saving the day, who knows what would have happened to me in the end. They came crashing through the doors to the cell Cole had trapped me in my knights in shining armor. And it feels weird to say that I'm glad Mikael bashed his head in. It was the painful death that the disgusting man deserved. Danny also had some problems. He killed people, guards. That I feel bad about. I feel like it's my fault since he got angry because Mika and Jason were in trouble for saving me. I got Danny in trouble too now. I had nightmares about this, all 2 real nightmares, where the injuries from them happened in real life. Hannibal said it could simply be a spontaneous stigmata, where I'm only injured because I imagined the injuries into existence. I don't think I believe that. I think there is some sort of curse or demon trying to fuck with me. Just my luck, isn't it? Well, if it is a demon or a curse, I only have one thing to say. Bring it on. I think I'm ready to kick its ass now. With a little hard work and a little concentration, I'm not afraid anymore. We've been through hell already. How much worse can it get? You slam your diary shut with a smirk and rise from your seat, moving to flick the light out. Sorry, I had to stop that. That was good. Good on us. Good on us. Tell that bitch and give him a nice middle finger. Period. Anyways, sorry, I had to stop. Now let me reread it to get back on track. You slam your diary shut with a smirk and rise from your seat, moving to flick the light out. You would go to sleep, and you would beat the shit out of anyone who tried to mess with your dream. You slip carefully into your bed, pulling the covers up to your chin. A smile rested on your face as you drifted to sleep. And for once, you weren't afraid. Bring it on, nightmares. Your voice is determined. It took time to drift off, but you finally did. But finally, you did. You woke up again. Wind blowing your hair around gently and the moon glittering alongside the stars in the sky. Your bare feet rested on springy grass, soft as sheep wool. The aroma of spring drifted around you. You're still smiling, spinning in a slow circle and admiring your surroundings. You were waiting for something to go wrong, and it was only a matter of time before it really did. Well, you called out into the wind. What do you have for me? Sure, you're getting a little cocky. And sure, you might just end up dead because of this. But who cares? Right now, You could take on the whole wide world with nothing more than your own 2 hands. In a blink of an eye, the sky went red, and fire burst from the ground, only around you in extravagant spouts. Your smile only widened at the sight, and as the temperature rose, you willed to lower it down. Once more. The sweat was springing on your skin, cooled away. Springing on your skin cooled away, and victory glistened in your gaze. Though the fire persisted, you felt no heat. You gotta do better than that. You shout over the crackling of the flames, and the nightmare complied. From the fire spawned beasts, multiple heads on their dog-like bodies, snarling and howling with vicious fangs. Their deadly gazes set on you, and their claws tore up the grass as they raced in your direction. You squeezed your eyes shut, feeling the rush of air as the beast leaped into the air. Your eyes whipped open. The snarling stopped. The beast vanished. The ground around you rumbled as the grass fell away. And then you were falling, the first traces of panic swirling in your chest. Stay calm. You forced your quickening breathing to slow and imagine that you weigh no more than a feather. The rushing of wind in your ear slows, and you open your eyes. Your feet are on the ground now. The mesh wire flooring of the now familiar boiler room. What's next? You say to yourself, knowing that whatever entity is messing with you will have heard. You almost react too late as the woofs of blades sound from behind you. You throw yourself out of the way as the blades fly past your face, nicking your ear and cheek and drawing out a gasp from you as well as a growl from your attacker. You spin on your heel, taking a few steps backwards and taking in the host of your nightmares. The villain who has been playing with your mind. His face was covered in nasty burn scars. A brown fedora perched atop his head. He wore a He wore a green and red striped sweater, a deadly glove, each finger tipped with wicked razors. The smirk scowl on his face was nothing more than pure evil, and his eyes glittered with anticipation. "You annoying little bitch," he growled, though he was still smiling. "I'm so ready to slice you to shreds." He lunged again, and you let your shoulders relax, tilting your head. "No, thank you," you said simply, and his blade struck the air as if it were a brick wall. "You don't control this dream anymore." Your voice is strong, void of fear, and the man growls again, pulling his arm back and slicing at your throat. His blades catch on the air again, though this time, with the angle the swiping blades connected, his fingertips bent backwards and he recoils, pulling back his gloved hand and clutching it to his chest. "You little..." He pulls his arm back, slashes and slashes and slashes, and every single time he hits the air, and can't come close enough to do any real damage. "How the fuck are you doing this?" he hisses, taking a few steps backwards. You smile. "I don't know, but I just know that you aren't hurting me anymore." The man, frustrated, lets his arms drop to his sides. "I can't fucking believe this," he grumbles, still scowling at you. "Fine. I'm not done. I'm not dealing with this shit. I'll leave you alone." Your smile widens, and you close your eyes, nodding your head. The last of your panic vanishes, and you let your eyes flutter open again. The panic returns full force, and for a moment, your blood runs ice cold. You think you're really dead. This is it. That fear. Your fear makes this man's eyes glow like tiny suns. "I've got you, you bitch." His gloves sails past the invisible wall that he had created. It's gone. It's broken. You don't have time to move. Emotions flash across your face. Failure, fear, confusion. The blades come close, too close. You step to the side, and an idea rushes to your head, almost knocking the wind out of you. As the man changes the direction of his glove to match your reroute, you change the direction you were going entirely and dive straight for him. Your arms wrap around him, and you squeeze your eyes shut. His knives, changing course once more, slice into your arm. Wake up. The pain and sheer will and desire to wake up seem to be enough. You jolt forwards out of your bed, and you hear a loud thump and a groan. Your head whips in that direction, and you scream, seeing the burnt man on the floor, a hand rubbing at the back of his head against the back of his head. His hat had been knocked off, as you reached for it, you leaped from your bed and sprinted for the light, flicking it on. As the room was illuminated, reality seemed to hit your attacker, and he leaped into his feet, staring frantically around the room. What the fuck did you do? He hisses, his voice no longer the deep demonic sound, but a higher pitch. You're frozen for more than a second, and then you dive for the door handle and rip the door open. It's almost 6:30 a.m., say the clocks on the wall, and you know exactly how you can trap this man before anyone wakes up and gets hurt. You set off on a sprint, and the man follows you close behind with his gloves ready to swipe. You run, your lungs burning and your legs aching, and your sides stinging. But you force yourself forwards, ignoring the question from your patients in their cells at the frantic footsteps. You take a sharp left, your bare feet almost slipping in the floor, and you dive into an empty cell, hiding around the corner directly to the right of the door. Seconds later, the man bursts in, running right past you. He doesn't have time to realize what's going on until you're out of the cell and pulling the door shut. No, you fucking don't, he hisses, catching the door handle just as it's about to click shut. He's stronger than you by a long shot, and you don't know how you can shut this door against his strength. But relief floods your veins as a second pair of hands grip your own. With the extra force, you manage to rip the door shut with a mighty heave. The locks engage with a click. You let out a victorious mix between a laugh and a wheeze, completely out of breath as the burnt man pounds against the window, eyes filled with rage. You turn to the one who helped you shut the door, smiling at Hale, the guard you've spoken to once or twice. What the hell is going on? Hale asked, pitching the bridge of her nose. He was trying to kill me, you say with an oddly cheery tone, smiling like an idiot, running a hand through your hair. How did he get in here? Hale lets her hand fall, utterly dumbfounded. Roswell's security was on point. I pulled him out of my dream. You were so amazed that it had actually worked. God, no the fuck. You dirty wolves. Get me the hell out of here. Excuse me. Wolves? Did I really read that as wolves? Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry. You dirty. Okay, let me relax. I gotta read this. You dirty whores. Get me the hell out of here. The man banged on the window and rattled the door handle. You let your back fall against the wall, a smile plaguing your face. A set of amazed eyes appeared in the window of the cell across from the burnt man, Leslie's face. Oh my God! The man, Leslie shouted, a hand covering his mouth. Is that Freddy fucking Krueger? Immediately, the name was familiar. Hale's own face was surprised now, her jaw hanging agape. That's my name. Don't you dare fucking wear it out! Freddy growled, his eyes a swirl mass of red, orange, yellow, and rage. Well, this. Hale lets out a baffled chuckle. This explained why no one could find him. He was living in people's goddamn heads. Oh my gosh, that's kind of crazy. That's fucking funny. We really said, oh, you think you can trap me? Flipping that Uno reverse card. For real, we really flipped that Uno reverse card. And we did it with style. Chapter 15. Lost your footing. People had been more than confused when you went searching for Mulaney, claiming you had caught another killer. Mulaney had been even more confused to see Freddy Krueger, glove, burns, and all, cursing her out and throwing all sorts of death threats in her direction. You didn't know whether the head nurse was proud of you or annoyed. The answer was most likely somewhere in the middle. Freddy definitely wasn't the most pleasant person to be around. Your new wounds were tended to rather quickly, and by the time you were exiting the infirmary and heading back towards your room, Freddy had gotten his glove removed and had been given the standard clothing of all of the patients got. He was still cursing and hissing as guards escorted him in your direction, back towards his cell. His burning red-orange gaze seared into yours, a rage like none other flickering within them. You stupid let me the fuck out of here! Freddy growled, and the guards just kept walking, dragging him along with them. You avert your gaze from his, crossing your arms self-consciously and walking a little bit faster. You heard Freddy let out a wicked, victorious cackle, seeing that he'd gotten through and scared you. You had the urge to turn your head and watch the guards and the new patient leave, deciding to distract yourself with a little bit of small talk. You were standing in front of the split cells, 3 faces peering through the doors. Windows belonging to Thomas, Bubba, and Vincent. Beau's window was empty. The men nowhere to be seen. Having another patient who hated you made your chest tighten with stress, and you felt the sudden urge to try and work on your relationship with Beau. Approaching his window, you peered through the glass, spotting the man sat nonchalantly on the bed, back slumped against the wall and a bored expression on his face. His face flicked to the window. His gaze flicked to the window for a moment, and he rolled his eyes, his chest heaving a visible sigh. "The hell do you want, new girl?" he grumbles, voice muffled by the glass as always. "Just checking in," you say simply, your confidence dying just like that. Beau lets out yet another sigh. Sitting up and getting to his feet, slowly he sauntered over to the window, leaning against the door. "I see you had an eventful morning. The slasher catcher, eh?" Beau doesn't look too fond to be speaking to you, but you smile lightly at the fact that he is at least making an effort to do so, thanks to your difficult past few days. You could definitely say that. You chuckle, fiddling with the hem of your shirt. It's quiet for a moment, an awkward quiet, and your mouth runs before you weigh your words. "Why do you hate me?" You cringe at the sentence, but that leaves your mouth, and you see Beau's lips curl briefly into an amused smile. "What makes you think that?" Now he seems rather interested in your response, leaning a little closer to the window. You stare down at the floor and then back towards Beau. You definitely don't try to hide it. "You hate being around me." You force out another quick laugh, but it's sadder this time. "Nah, I don't hate you. You just aren't the same as the last lady who was here." Beau runs a hand through his hair. "You take some getting used to, but you ain't all that bad." His smile feels much more genuine than any you could ever possibly muster. And you want to keep speaking to him, but Melanie is suddenly hurrying down the hallway and calling out to you. You turn to face her, smiling shyly, and listening to the words trembling from her mouth at a fast pace. "We need you down in the new inmate cell. We have some more duties we'll be adding to your list. Important ones that need to be explained to both you and the patient." She doesn't linger long, shooting a quick smile at Beau before turning and heading off towards the cell you had trapped Freddy inside of. You follow quickly, flashing an apologetic smile in Beau's direction and jogging quickly to catch up to the head nurse. "Sorry to drag you away." Melanie apologizes, smiling at you. "I'm glad you're finally getting along with him. At least a little bit better." Her smile fades, replaced by a frown. "Freddy won't be as easy to befriend." "Yeah, sorry for the whole pushing a serial killer out of my dream thing. I hate to just dump him on you." You let out a quick laugh, followed by an awkward smile in which Melanie returns. "It's definitely something no one has ever done before. I'm still not even sure how you did it, or why he targeted you." Melanie pauses in front of Freddy's new cell, peering briefly through the window. "Now, be quick when you're entering, and be on alert while you're in there. He's rather unstable, and he might get angry when he hears the news I have." Melanie scans her card and steps inside, the 2 guards already in and watching Freddy with steely gazes. You hurry in after Melanie, shutting the door behind you. "Good day, Freddy." Melanie greets with a bright smile, obviously forced. "Shitty day, you fucking bitch." I swear, it's like, man. Freddy hissed, his wrist on either side of one of the metal bars on his bed, handcuffs holding them together and tethering him to his place. "Let me the hell out of this place." He tugs and pulls out of the cuffs, snarling like a rabid animal. "Nice to meet you too." You chuckle, crossing your arms. Freddy's gaze snaps to face you, and the rage in his eyes triples. He scowls and says nothing, but this time you fight not to flinch away from it. Furrowing your brows in a silent challenge. You glare silently at one another for 1 second, and then 2, and then 3. Mulaney finally breaks the more than awkward silence. All right. Mulaney claps her hands together, trying to ease the tension. So, I just have a few new things to explain to you, Freddy, and Wine too. She keeps her forced smile on her face, diving into the new duties you would be assigned, and providing details on Freddy's new life in the asylum. Frederick Charles Krueger, I'm sure you've pieced together that you'll be spending your days here in the Roswell Asylum. I'm going to assume you know about this place already, since you've targeted one of our new nurses. Mulaney paused, expecting Freddy to make some sort of sign that he was listening. Of course I know this place. I'm not stupid. He sounds very, very annoyed, as if he'd rather be doing anything else. You were almost certain that that was the truth. Good. Mulaney continues. I'm not exactly sure how to put this, but I speculate that you're some sort of supernatural being, a dream demon of sorts. We can't just leave you to continue killing in others' dreams, so we'll be insinuating a harmless shock therapy that will, preferably, nullify your dream-invading powers. Freddy's brow furrowed, and a guttural growl emitted from his throat. No, fuck no. Freddy tried to leap to his feet. His cuffed hands clanked against the metal and dragged him back down. Shock therapy? You're going to melt my fucking brains? You actually frowned as well, staring at Mulaney with a concerned expression. Shock therapy seemed so harsh. Really? You asked quietly, placing a hand on Mulaney's arm. She nods her head and shoots you a gentle smile. It'll be completely harmless. You won't even feel a thing, other than temporary memory loss or confusion, for no more than a couple hours, and some overall drowsiness as his body adjusts to the anesthesia. I don't know how to say that word properly. Anesthesia, there we go. Anesthesia and electricity. Anesthesia? Memory loss? Freddy was trembling, almost unnoticeably, but whether it was from fear or rage, you weren't sure. Yes, but there will be no permanent side effects, and you will be entirely safe and secure while under the effects of the anesthetic. Mulaney turned back to Freddy, clasping her hands in front of her. Trust me, it's for your own good. Her gaze turned back to you. His first session is actually... She checked her watch. 5 minutes from now. What? Freddy was fuming. So much information all at once. Now, I don't need to pause here. There's like a reason why people really don't do shock therapy as much as they did way back then anymore. It's not really the best way to go, and it doesn't really help with much. So I don't know. This is like one of those things where I'm like, this is not the best thing. People used to use shock therapy used to be used even for the basicest of mental health problems, or from like mental issues that some people had, when it was very unnecessary to use shock therapy, but stupid people didn't know really stupidly any better. So yeah, I don't really like shock therapy. It's not used as much anymore, and there's a good reason for it. So yeah, there's very good reason. If you want to do more research about it, Google's for free. Validate your research, obviously, but I mean, Google is free, you know. Look it up. Be the big thinkers that I know you guys are. Anyway, it's very important that we stop him from being able to kill again. Mulaney signaled to the guards, and they pressed forwards, moving to uncuff Freddy. He thrashed and moved sporadically, trying to struggle away. The moment the key slid into his cuffs, he threw himself onto the guard who had inserted it, quickly diving for the key, giving it a twist and freeing himself from his trap. Before the guard could recover, Freddy ducked behind them, wrapping the cuffs around the guard's throat from behind and pulling tightly. Panic swelling in your chest, and you dove forwards to help, shoving Freddy away, or something of the effort. Mulaney Crotus, requesting backup. Mulaney called into her walkie-talkie, diving in to help as well. Krueger, let him go, the other guard called, pulling out a metal baton and racing to his friend's aid. Take another step and I'll snap his fucking neck. Freddy warned, and everyone stopped directly in their tracks. Freddy's sneer widened, seeing the power he held. "You nurse bitch!" Freddy growled at you. "Open the fucking door and step the fuck away. I'm walking out of here, or this asshole dies." Okay, I said that really weird. But you go. "Freddy, please calm down," you say, holding out your hands defensively. "Don't do anything irrational here. He has a family." The other guard growled. "Kill him and I kill you." Freddy let out a devious snicker, pulling tighter on the cuffs trapping the guard. "You can't kill me. You lose everything. Prison doesn't look too fun." The man in Freddy's clutches let out a whimper, struggling to keep his feet underneath him to stop him from tumbling to the ground and having his airflow cut off. "Open the fucking door, you bitch." Freddy's gaze returned to you, and you shook your head slowly, took a slow step forwards. "Freddy, I can't do that. You know I can't do that. It's either you kill us four, or many, many more. I can't let you out of here." You take another step, and Freddy takes one back. He lets out a small snicker that grows into a hearty chuckle, and then a fit of ridiculous laughter. You take another step. You're close now, and his laughter dies down. Fine. If you can't let me go, then." Freddy shrugs, and with one swift, jerky move, he cranks his arms to the side and snaps the guard's neck just like that, quick and painless. The other guard lets out a choked gasp, and then he's diving forward with his baton extended to connect with Freddy's head. "Not so fast!" Freddy lifts his hands upwards, and the baton connects it with the dead man instead. Then the corpse is thrown to the side, and Freddy is grabbing at the guard's baton. "Wyatt, get out now!" Melanie demands, but you're rooted to your spot. This is almost exactly what had happened with Danny only a day ago. The baton was swapped from the guard to Freddy, and it was smashing through the guard's head, knocking him to the floor. It was lifted, smashed down, lifted, smashed down, repeatedly until the second guard wasn't moving. "Get out!" Melanie gave you a harsh shove. You tumbled backwards, your feet slipping from underneath you. You collided hard with the ground, and Melanie, who was also heading for the door, trips right over your extended feet. She collides with the ground right beside you. Freddy, looming tall and threatening, flashes a toothy grin with wicked eyes. Both you and Melanie scramble to your feet, and she scans her keycard at the door, ripping it open. But Freddy is much too close, and only one of you can make it out. Melanie grabs your arm, shoving you forwards and through the door. Freddy diving to catch the handle before it clicks shut again. Just before it closed, Melanie tosses out her keycard, and the door slams shut. You scramble to your feet, rushing to the window. You can hear the chorus of thrumming feet as the guards race to your aid, but you know there won't be enough time as Freddy grabs Melanie by the collar of her shirt, slamming her against the wall and gripping the sides of her face with the wildest smile you've ever seen. His thumbs find her eyes, pressing deeper, deepest. Melanie doesn't scream. Her hands instinctively flying up to wrap around Freddy's wrist as his thumbs are shoved straight through to her brain. His eyes slowly turns to you, and he steps away, not batting an eye as Melanie's corpse drops down to the ground. "You should have opened that damn door sooner," Freddy says in a teasing tone, a hand ghosting over your mouth as horror pulses through your veins. The guards come storming in, jostling you out of the way as they scan the doors, pushing them open. Freddy doesn't fight back, his lust for blood satisfied, knowing he's majorly outnumbered. His eyes never leave yours, his smile holding strong as the handcuffs are fastened around his wrist and he's dragged out of the cell, away from you and towards where you remember the therapy rooms to be located. You couldn't bring yourself to look back at the gruesome crime scene. Running a hand through your hair, you felt no tears, not this time. You felt numb. "What the hell happened here?" A guard spat at you, rage glistening in his eyes. "Why the hell didn't you let the guys leave the damn cell?" You open your mouth to speak, the guilt flowing through you as you realize that Melanie is dead because you lost your footing. This was your fault, isn't it? Of course she dies. Your bad fucking luck. The guard scoffs and rushed away to call a coroner to dispose of the bodies. Your legs move, and you carried down the hall in a daze, not knowing exactly where you're going until you're outside of your room. You slip your key into the lock, pushing the door open and shutting it behind you. You don't bother turning the lights on, stumbling blindly to your bed and kicking off your shoes. You collapse on top, pulling the blankets up over your shoulders and your knees to your chest. Now you feel the urge to sob, but still, no tears spill over. Melanie was dead. You had tripped her. You had gotten her killed. Hell, you had brought Freddy here in the first place. You should have just let Freddy kill you in that stupid dream. You should have never pulled him out of it. Melanie was dead. 2 other innocent people with families, were dead. Your eyelids hang heavy, and no matter how badly you want to avoid sleep, it forces itself on you anyways. You are ready for nightmares. Enough, though this time, the demon inside of them will be no more than a figment of your imagination rather than the real thing. It would be just as bad. You're almost certain. I'm so sorry, Melanie. That is a way to end a way to end for now, because I'm sorry, y'all, I've already it's probably gonna be a whole hour, so apologies. But yeah, anyways, I don't even know what to say. For one, I didn't really like Melanie in the first place. I'm just gonna tell y'all now, I didn't really like Melanie, so I'm kind of happy she's gone. I'm not happy she's dead, but I'm happy she's gone. Makes sense. And also another thing, this is pretty realistic, so I kind of like that. Also, shock therapy, I'd be kind of pissed about that. Don't like it. Never would want it in my entire life. Anywho, what do you guys think is gonna happen next? Do you think we'll be able to ever pass through this trauma? Let me know in the comments down below. My answer is no. Definitely not. This is going to be years worth to unveil and all that. This shit is going to be probably worth 3 whole book diaries. Okay, this is wow. This is uh-oh. Anyways, before we get this a complete close, shut down type of deal, let's go now, since it is December. Oh, whoopsie. Since it is December, to the Christmas edition. And this time, I will have to sadly pick another story because, listen, look at this all. Look at this. Literally, y'all see it, right? Y'all see it right there up on the screen, right? It's not here. So, it seems like the person who made it deleted it or switched it or something. I cannot find it for the life of me, okay? I'm telling you right now, it kind of pisses me off a little because I just started reading it one day, and then as soon as I was supposed to post it and stuff, hi sweetie, come on, you're not eating my pizza though. Anyways, yeah, I have to read a new one, so I apologize for the inconvenience, y'all, but I mean, at least we reread one good one. I don't know. So yeah. Anyways, all right, y'all. So instead, we is reading this one. This one is the author is Storybook, and this is called Christmas Stories, and it is completed 30 parts, chapters, whatever. So we're gonna be reading, yay, this one. So I'll put a link to it if it is not deleted or moved, in the description down below, along with the author's name, if you want to go look for it in case I cannot find the god forbidden freaking link for it, because in case of the type of inconvenience I had earlier happens again, it happens. It's okay. Anyways, first chapter. Hi, sweetie. You got anything to say before we start? You're just sniffing? Okay. He's sniffing. Hold on. All right. Anyways. The Little Match Girl. The Little Match Girl by Hans Christian Andersen, the original author to this specific tale. Although he is well noted for his fairy tales, the poignant story of the Little Match Girl, or the Little Matchstick Girl, is a great example of Hans Christian Andersen's broad literary talent. Most terribly cold it was. It snowed and was nearly quite dark, an evening. The last evening of the year. In this cold and darkness there went along the street was a poor little girl, bareheaded, and with naked feet. When she left home she had slippers on, it is true, but what was the good of that? They were very large slippers, which her mother had hitherto worn. So large they were, and the poor little thing lost them as she scuffled away across the street, because of the two carriages that rolled by dreadfully fast. One slipper was nowhere to be found, and the other had been laid on hold by an urchin, and he ran off with it. Though he thought it would do capitally for a cradle when he someday or other should have children himself. So the little maiden walked on her tiny naked feet. They were quite red and blue from cold. She carried a quantity of matches in an old apron. She had held a bundle of them in her hand. Nobody had bought anything of her the whole livelong day. No one had given her a single farthing. She crept along, trembling with cold and hunger, a very picture of sorrow. The poor little thing! The flakes of snow covered her long, fair hair, which fell in beautiful curls around her neck. But of that, of course, she never once now thought. From all the windows the candles were gleaming, and it smelt so deliciously of roast goose. For now you know it was New Year's Eve. Yes, of that she thought. In the corner formed by two houses, one of which advanced more than the other, she seated herself down and cowered together. Her little feet she had drawn up close to her, but she grew cold and colder, and to go home she did not venture, for she had not sold any matches and could not bring a farthing of money. From her father she would certainly get blows, and at home it was cold too. Above her she had only the roof, through which the wind whistled, even though the largest cracks were stopped with a straw and rags. Her little hands almost numbed with cold. Ow! A match might afford her a world of comfort. If she only dared to take a single out of the bundle, she drew and draw it against the wall, and her fingers warm her fingers by it. She drew one out. I can't say that. How it blazed, how it burnt! It was warm, bright flame, like a candle, as she held her hands over it. It was a wonderful light. It seemed really to be the little maiden, as though she were sitting above a large iron stove, with burnished brass feet and a brass ornament at top. The fire burned with such blessed influence. It warmed so delightfully. The little girl had already stretched out her feet to warm them too, but the small flame went out. The stove vanished. She had only had the remains of the burnt-out match in her hand. She rubbed another against the wall. It burned brightly, and where the light fell from the wall, the wall had been transparent like a veil, so that she could see into the room. On the table was spread a snow-white cloth. Upon it was a splendid porcelain service, and the roast goose was steaming famously with its stuffing, an apple and dried plums. And what was still more capital to behold was the goose hopped down from the dish, reeled on about the floor with knife and fork in its breast, but till it came up to the poor little girl. Then the match went out, and nothing but the thick, cold, damp wall was left behind. She lighted another match. Now, there she was sitting under the most magnificent Christmas tree. It was still larger, and more decorated than the one she had seen through the glass door in the rich merchant's house. Thousands of lights were burnt on the green branches, and gaily colored pictures, such as she had seen in the shop windows, looked down upon her. The little maiden outstretched her hands towards them when the match went out. The lights of the Christmas tree rose higher and higher. She saw them now as stars in heaven. One fell down and formed a long trail of fire. "Someone is just dead," said the little girl, for the old grandmother, the only person who had loved her and who was now no more, had told her that when the stars fell, a soul ascends to God. She drew another match against the wall. It was again light, and the lustre there stood in the old grandmother, so bright and radiant, so mild, and with such an expression of love. "Grandmother," cried the little one, "oh, take me with you. You go away when the match burns out. You vanish the warm stove like the delicious roast goose, and like the magnificent Christmas tree." And she rubbed the whole bundle of matches quickly against the wall, for she wanted to be quite sure of keeping her grandmother near her. And the matches gave her such a brilliant light that had been brighter than at noonday. Never formerly had the grandmother been so beautiful and so tall. She took the little maiden on her arm, and both flew in brightness and in joy so high, so very high, and then above was neither cold, nor hunger, nor anxiety. They were with God. But in the corner, on the cold hour of dawn, sat the poor girl, with rosy cheeks and with a smiling mouth, leaning against the wall, frozen to death on the last evening of the old year. Stiff and stark sat the child there with her matches, with which one bundle had been burnt. She wanted to warm herself, people said. No one had the slightest suspicion of what beautiful things she had seen. No one had ever dreamed of the splendor in which, with her grandmother, she had entered the joys of a new year. Wow. I have heard this story before, and it's very sad. So if you guys don't understand, basically the girl, as she was in the corner lighting up matches, she basically froze to death. She started having delusions, because when you start freezing up, your body does certain reactive things, and, well, to say the least of it, her body her mind started to make up these illusions to kind of get away from the cold and everything. And that's why she started having these more and more, you see, as like the story kept going, the more the delusions and everything started to go like much more realistic to her and everything. And eventually she passed. It is a very sad story, but very beautiful at the same time. I've heard this only a couple times, but this is a really good story. Really sad though. But anyways, there will be a lot of warnings to this, I'm telling you. But anyways, I do hope you guys did enjoy this. Like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more amazing videos, guys. If you have any good Christmas stories you would like me to read, please let me know in the comments down below. Even share a link, a name, author's name would be very much appreciated. I really would appreciate it. If you guys, I would appreciate if you guys would like me to read a story that you really like, and then everyone gets to hear it, and it's all a fun time, really. But I will keep reading the story unless there are requests of any other Christmas stories you guys would like me to read. But yeah, to cut this short now, because your girl has finals this week, and she's probably gonna go mentally insane. I'm not gonna lie, she's probably gonna go a little cuckoo. Come to find out, Leslie really did lose her mind. But anyways, I shall see you guys later. But remember, watch out for the community, y'all, because I will be posting some new stuff, alright? Whether it be notices or announcements. Always keep in touch with the community on my channel. Always helps you keep much more updated than my YouTube videos. But, I do try to keep them both updated nicely. Anyways, I shall see y'all later. In the future's next video of the series, or another series, preferably which one you guys would like to watch, which I don't mind. I have preferences too. You girls sadly got to go. Bye and peace.